On today's news, a backstage update about Vince McMahon demoting certain Raw and SmackDown superstars.
Triple H reveals the one thing that he looks for in new recruits.
Matches announced for next week's SmackDown.
We've had a few updates on what's going down with SmackDown's tapings over Christmas and New Year.
Huge segment, huge announced for Raw next week.
And an even bigger, yes, bigger match has been announced for AEW Dynamite next week.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? It's welcome to the Saturday News. My name is Phil Chambers. That over there, I can't never remember, is Gareth Morgan. And on today's news, before we get started on today's news, subscribe to the video, like the video, comment down below what you think of all of today's stories, and links to each of the videos, the news articles, the news, each of the news are in the description below. Did that well, didn't I?
There's a lot of stuff, Phil. Loads of things all around us all the time.
Anyway, you may have heard on the grapevine about a certain Vince McMahon throwing a fit, is the words they used, about the working ability of a bunch of superstars, some of the bigger guys on Raw and SmackDown. They are all now getting sent back to the Performance Center for 2 sessions a week to refine and improve their in-ring skills. And they're going to be working with Drew Gulak and Adam Pearce. And I've got an update. All of that came from the Wrestling Observer yesterday. But I've got an update from the PW Insider, who are reporting who these people are. So, number one is Dabba-Kato, who you may remember from the Raw Underground segments. He was very new when he was on there, and just a general feeling that he just needs to up his in-ring game, which I think is pretty fair. He's still really, really green. Another guy is Omos, is AJ Styles' new bodyguard guy. Again, very, very green. Didn't get really any time in NXT. Vince McMahon saw him, look at the size of him, and brought him straight up. So that's fair, really. The other one is Mace from Retribution, who is obviously Dio Madden, who is getting a little bit like he had a lot more time in NXT than the other two did. But obviously they still feel he needs a bit of a shape up. But the other two, the final two, are a little bit more shocking, I guess. The first one is Otis, who is brilliant. What the hell is wrong with you? And the final one is Keith Lee, of all people, former NXT and North American champion, main eventer, like as soon as he got put up onto the Raw brand. And now they've got a feeling that he needs to be sent back down to the Performance Center to shape up. There's more info again on this from Fightful Select. And apparently there's a bit of confusion in the locker room about Keith Lee in particular, because he's generally considered one of the better workers in the company. And they think he may have just been kind of caught up in it because they were going through all the big guys and he's one of the big guys, and just like caught up in the group, I guess. But it's still very strange that they think this about Keith Lee. We had him back in like Defiant in WCPW years ago, and he was amazing then. And he's like, this is years later. I don't understand it. Otis as well from Fightful Select is reporting that he's really well liked backstage, but there's a couple of spots that he's done recently that have got the attention of people in Gorilla, and there's a feeling that there's no heat on him at all, but there's just a thought that he could be a bit safer in the ring. So yeah, 5 guys, 2 of which very shocking. I mean, there was reports about Vince McMahon being very high on Otis and him being a huge fan of his, and Keith Lee, of all people, sending him back down for more training.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the world with this, to be honest. Like the other 3 guys, no offense to them at all. It's just that case of they're a bit green, they're fresh, they're so fresh. They probably do need a bit of sharpening up, and probably to be around people like Drew Gulak, who's just an absolute expert, just magnificent wrestler. Being around him is going to help him no end. But the likes of Otis, who just recently was involved, like Mr. Money in the Bank, had all this shine, all this momentum, and he was putting on great matches in the ring every time he was in there. Super entertaining dude. And Kevin Lee, I always do this, is UFC fighter, Keith Lee, who was just fighting for the NXT championship, like literally months ago. He was the NXT champion, and now suddenly he's lost his edge.
Yeah. Bizarre. I don't understand the Keith Lee one.
Really bizarre, because if he's lost his edge, surely, I mean, you don't want to say, he's got to blame other people, but he's being used in a very specific way on Raw. So if his edge has been blunted, it's only because of one reason, isn't it? So it's just baffling.
Weird one as well, because like we're not saying that once you like reach the main roster of WWE that's your learning experience over. In no way you should keep continuing to get better and learn new things as you go on. Like if you get into the NFL or like into championship soccer game or whatever, soccer, look at me, I'm a fan. Like you still train, like you're still training as you're going along. But yeah, to single out someone like Keith Lee, who's been put in a huge position on Raw as needing some refinement in the ring. It's just, mental. Don't see it.
There's no hope. There's no hope for any of us, Phil, at all. But we now know what Vince McMahon is looking for. I'm getting on my wires crossed here. It's that kind of morning. But Vince McMahon obviously is looking for something very specific in his big men. That's why he's taking these guys back to the Performance Center to tune up. Triple H has also revealed what he looks for in new recruits in the world of the Performance Center when he's bringing people into NXT and the main roster. He was speaking, this is going to be a hell of a mouthful, so bear with me. He was speaking at the 2020 Learfield IMG College Intercollegiate Athletics Forum. I'm so happy I got all that out.
Catchy title.
You know, I'm not going to try and get the... I was going to make a nickname up there, but I'm not going to do that. So he apparently was saying that it all boils down to personality. It boils down to charisma. His words were, charisma is king. Those are the words coming from the King of Kings. And he also said that isn't solely the thing they look for, though, even though that is massively important. They also look for hunger from fledgling stars. And they also want folks who go above and beyond to prove themselves. And he also said at the same time, they're not too worried about people who make mistakes early, because then they can still find excellence in people who aren't afraid to stumble en route to getting what they really want. So it seems like they're looking for really magnetic personalities and people who can grow and not afraid to make mistakes, because if they do make mistakes, they'll head straight back to the Performance Center.
They do, yeah, apparently. But yeah, obviously coachability is something you want, but yeah, like you can't really argue with any of those points that Triple H brings up as what anyone would want in a WWE superstar, really. Just sound logic. Hopefully more of that and less of Vince McMahon sending Keith Lee back to the Performance Center for some reason.
I'm not hopeful.
Speaking of not hopeful, next week's SmackDown. I guess. I don't know.
No.
That probably doesn't work. Anyway, there's some matches announced for next week's SmackDown. This is a really good news show. Bayley versus Bianca Belair is the first one. Mad that they're rushing this match to TV. Don't quite understand it. They could have easily built this to a pay-per-view and had a really good match between them. Who knows? Maybe if it's on TV, they'll get more time and be able to put on more of a showcase for Bianca Belair. Still interested to see it. Just strange that they're rushing it and then just throwing it on TV after hardly any build. They definitely could have built this better. And the other one is the Street Profits versus Rudolph. Because who else is there in the tag team division?
And it's Christmas time.
So big SmackDown set for next week.
Yeah. To be honest, like they couldn't... Here's the thing. They couldn't have put any of these big matches on a pay-per-view because they've not got one coming up anytime soon, right? There's not one in like a week's time. Is there?
No, not at all.
No.
Months away. Months.
Yes, so makes sense. You gotta get these big matches out there. I'm excited for the Bianca Belair Bayley one, but I agree with you. They could have just put this on a pay-per-view and it would have definitely made me want to watch the pay-per-view more, but equally it makes me want to watch SmackDown more. And speaking of SmackDown, we've got a bit of news on tapings that are going down over Christmas for the Christmas Day episode, and what's going down with New Year's, because New Year's is a little bit different. So this is, according to Post Wrestling, they've said that the Blue brand will return in the new year, the first day of the new year. They're going to have a live show New Year's Day, and this is obviously interesting because it is a big holiday, New Year's Day. It's not quite New Year's Eve, but it's still up there, and they're going to be going straight up live. But when it comes to Christmas, the Christmas Day edition of SmackDown, that is going to be going down on December. That obviously is going to be going down on December 25th because that's when it's Christmas. God, we're so good at the news. They're going to be taping it in advance, so they're not going to be there live on Christmas Day. It's not what I said. Yeah, they've done that in the past, though, because I think they had like a Monday Night Raw in 2017, I think it was, and John Cena came out, and I'm pretty sure they had like half the crowd there because it was Christmas Day. Obviously, nobody wanted to go and watch Raw on Christmas Day, no matter how good Raw was. Yeah. They've also, going forward, I think they realised the error of the ways, and I think it was in 2018 they did a SmackDown, and they taped that before for Christmas Day. So just means that everyone gets a day off on Christmas Day, really, in WWE. The actual performers, the backstage crew as well, which I'm all here for because they deserve a rest. And in terms of next week's SmackDown, that is going to be airing on FS1, and this is due to college football airing on Fox. I didn't know colleges played soccer, so that's really, that's news to me. Sports. And also a special edition of Talking Smack is also going to be on FS1, and after that they're going to have a SmackDown replay as well. So yeah, and yeah, just another note as well, the Thunderdome, the new Thunderdome was on SmackDown last night, and I thought it was really underwhelming because it looked identical. I know I'm a spoil sport, but yeah, that's it.
It had lightning at the beginning, actual lightning.
I wanted Zeus. I wanted Zeus himself in the middle of that Thunderdome. Damn it.
But yeah, nice to see that finally giving them a day off on Christmas. It's always so harsh when you find out that they have to work on like these Christmas days and things. And it's like, I don't understand what you're getting out of this, WWE. Just let them have a day off. But yeah, next week on Raw, a huge segment announced. Huge! Because Bray Wyatt is going to be taking his Firefly Funhouse puppets on a field trip to the Thunderdome and Tropicana Field.
Oh, get it. Field. Tropicana Field. I'm so excited for that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, excited for next week's Raw. That's the only thing announced so far.
Yeah, that's all we need. You've got my money, even though I was never going to give any money to Monday Night Raw. But let's talk about AEW's next week show thing, because that's looking like a bit more of an intriguing, a compelling night of action, because we've had announced it, AEW announced it on Twitter, that their world champion, their recent new world champion, Kenny Omega, will be taking on Joey Janela in an eliminator. It's like an AEW championship eliminator, no DQ match. And if you're a little bit confused by this, as I was when I first saw it, I was like, wait, what? Eliminator? That doesn't make any sense. If you remember, Joey Janela was originally going to be the quarterfinals match for Kenny Omega in that tournament to crown the number one contender for the AEW championship, but he had to miss out just due to the current global thing and everything else. I think he was in contact with somebody or like something else. I don't think it was massively revealed what exactly happened there, but now he's been thrown back into this match, and if he wins this no DQ anything goes match, he will have earned himself a title shot against Omega. So it's like a second chance, because he could have maybe beat Omega in that tournament, which none of us really expected him to do. It's like, yeah, it's pretty much a second chance. And they've said on Twitter, they put Omega won the Eliminator tournament to become number one contender to the AEW World title. His scheduled quarterfinals opponent, Joey Janela, couldn't participate due to safety protocols. And now Janela can earn himself a title shot with a win on Wednesday, and is in his preferred element, which is the no DQ, anything goes environment. And I'm just going to give you a full update on that card. We've got Hangman Page, John Silver, Alex Reynolds. They're taking on Matt Hardy and Private Party, and that is Hangman teaming with the Dark Order. Ooh, very interesting. We've got the Acclaimed taking on SCU. You've got Serena Deeb and Big Swole versus Diamante and Ivelisse. Cody Rhodes is taking on Angelico. The Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Brandon Cutler, Top Flight, and the Varsity Blondes. Wow, it's a lot of people. Are going to be taking on the Inner Circle, all of them. So Jericho, Guevara, Ortiz, Santana, Wardlow, MJF, and Hager. That's just a lot of humanity in one ring at one time. And then you've obviously got what looks like the main event there. Omega versus Janela in an eliminator, no DQ bout. What do you think, Phil?
It's looking pretty good. I was just all the way through that. All I could think of was what a huge difference between AEW and WWE this is. WWE have 2 matches and 1 segment announced for 5 hours of television next week, and AEW have all of that for 2.
It's almost like if you have like a condensed amount of airtime, you can get more focused and you can just plan ahead. Who'd have thunk it?
Who knew? But moving on to your Twitter questions. The first one comes from Mark Smith, who says, Michael Cole called the Thunderdome award-winning, but what awards has it won? And I'm only picking this one because you kept on talking about the Thunderdome. Do you remember what award it won?
Academy Award for Best Screenplay.
No, it was the Sportal Award for excellence in sports video presentation in October. So 1 award, and now they can call it award-winning, just like I call myself an award-winning filmmaker.
Oh, but
I've won 2 awards. I've won 2 awards, so I'm better than the Thunderdome, basically. Unchosen Film Festival, Best British Film, and the Lancashire Film Festival, Best Film. So,
that's
sure.
my neck of the woods. I should have known that, Phil. I'm
sure.
embarrassed that I didn't know it. That's very impressive.
I mean, it was a huge success. Huge at Lancashire Film
Pat
Festival.
yourself on the back. Don't knock yourself down there. Everyone celebrate Phil's award-winning work. There you go.
Next up comes from Mark Solid, who says, "Morning, guys. Happy Saturday. Hope your week was awesome. Thoughts on having a Paul Heyman cam for his facial reactions?"
Yeah, I'm up for that. Well, like a kiss cam. Like,
yeah,
you just,
or just like a little GoPro that's always dangling over his head, so you can just see like a little picture-in-picture of just whatever Paul Heyman's expression is at any time.
Oh, I'd love that. And you can just at any point, you can just like click the red button. It's just little Paul there going, yeah. I'm here for that.
They're too entertaining not to, really.
Yeah.
Finally, Matt Rains, who says, "Good morning, brothers. Who do you gents think should dethrone each current champion on SmackDown? Have a wonderful day."
Ooh, that's a tough one. All right,
yeah,
so
I like this one.
If we got Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bianca Belair. I'll be honest,
I was going to say Bianca Belair for that, but then I also thought maybe just Bayley at WrestleMania.
Yeah, there is that. But then I want Banks to win at WrestleMania if she's still a face, because Bayley's being a heel. You know what I mean? Tough one.
Either of those I'd be happy with.
SmackDown Tag Team Championship. I'd like
any tag team that's an actual tag team.
To be fair, SmackDown they had 2 tag team matches this week. I was like, a little bit of depth is emerging. We've got 4 teams here to choose from. I want Otis and Chad Gable to win.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, and then just have a thing for a little bit, and then they lose it, and then they turn on each other and have a really cool feud. I'm up for that.
Yeah, that's the one for that.
And
Intercontinental.
Yes,
Sami Zayn.
Tough, because I want to say Big E.
Yeah,
I do, but then I equally want to go for the big one.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, so
I'm probably gonna go Daniel Bryan maybe for Sami Zayn, and then Big E for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I agree, because you could interchange them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, either or
with that. As
long as they both get something.
Yeah, just give them something for Christmas. They deserve it.
But good question. I enjoyed that one. Anywho, thank you very much for watching the news. I have been Phil Chambers. You can follow me on Twitter at PhilMyChambers, and you can follow Gareth
at GMorgan04.
And you can follow all of us at WhatCulture WWE. Head on over to Kayfabe News on YouTube, youtube.com/Kayfabe News, for all of your fantastic More Wrestling News content. We've got a huge story about a wrestling fan who is wishing failure upon all wrestling promotions. Just a disgraceful story, but you head on over to Kayfabe News to check that out, because that's definitely never happened before. Subscribe to the channel, like the video down below, comment what you think of all of today's stories, including who you want to see dethrone all of the SmackDown champions. But most importantly, have yourselves a bloody good day.
See you later.